The curse of Chandrabindu. In the 15th century, when the Bengal Sultanate ruled the land, Chandranath Hill was a place of worship, standing tall over the sprawling forests of Chittagong. Atop the hill sat an ancient temple dedicated to Shiva, where the devout from villages far and wide would come to offer prayers. But not all prayers were answered in light. Some were met with darkness. Legend tells of a young woman named Chandrabindu, born in the shadow of these sacred hills. She was known throughout the region not only for her beauty, but also for her devotion. Every day at dawn she would climb the steps to the temple, offering flowers and prayers to the gods. Her serenity masked a life of hardship. Her parents had died young, leaving her alone. The village elders would often remark on how the gods favoured her, keeping her safe from harm. But such favour was fleeting in a world ruled by men who craved power and control. The Sultan of Chittagong, a cruel and ambitious man, heard of Chandrabindu's beauty through his spies. He ruled with an iron fist, and no desire of his went unfulfilled. One evening, under the cover of night, his soldiers descended upon her village. The people watched in horror as Chandrabindu was dragged from her humble home, her screams echoing off the temple walls as she was taken to the Sultan's palace. In the palace, Chandrabindu refused to submit. She stood tall, her heart unbroken despite the Sultan's demands. Enraged by her defiance, the Sultan decided to make an example of her. She was to be taken back to Chandranath Hill, but not as a pilgrim. Instead, she was bound in chains and led up the steps of the sacred temple, where the Sultan's men planned to execute her at dawn, a sacrifice meant to break her spirit. But the gods, it seemed, were not silent. As the first light of day touched the hilltop, a thick fog rolled in, covering the temple and the surrounding forest. The soldiers, unnerved by the sudden shift in the air, hesitated. Chandrabindu, kneeling before the altar, prayed one last time. It is said that in that moment the earth trembled and the sky darkened. The chains that bound her shattered, and Chandrabindu rose to her feet. The Sultan's men watched in terror as her figure seemed to merge with the mist, her eyes glowing with an otherworldly light. Before they could act, a chilling wind swept through the hill, and one by one the soldiers fell dead, their faces twisted in fear. Chandrabindu disappeared that day, but her story was far from over. Years passed and Chandranath Hill became a place of fear. Travellers spoke of a ghostly figure seen wandering the paths at night, her form pale and fleeting in the moonlight. Her name became synonymous with dread. Chandrabindu, the spirit who haunted the hills. Villagers whispered of how, on nights when the moon was full, her weeping could be heard echoing through the forest. Those who ventured too close to the temple never returned. Some said she lured them with her beauty, only to vanish into the mist, leaving nothing but silence behind. Others believed she sought vengeance for the life stolen from her, punishing those who dared to cross her path. Chandrabindu was no longer a mere woman. She had become something else entirely, a guardian of the hill, cursed to walk the boundary between life and death. The temple, once a place of worship, now stood as a reminder of her tragedy. Few dared to approach it, fearing the wrath of the ghost who lingered there. And so the legend of Chandrabindu lived on, passed down from generation to generation, a warning to all who sought power through cruelty, a reminder that some spirits, once wronged, never find peace. But every now and then, on a quiet night when the mist covers the hills and the moon hangs low in the sky, her figure can still be seen, drifting among the trees, her soft weeping carried on the wind. Chandrabindu, the cursed soul of Chandranath Hill, waiting for the day when her torment will finally end.